We talk a lot about like the different ways people experience the world, but
Mm,
today's deep dive, this one really takes us into some, I don't know, kind of uncharted territory.
right.
The intersection of autism and menopause.
Okay.
You've brought us some research on this very topic, and I got to say, my curiosity is it's officially peaked.
Yeah, and for good reason. This is an area I think that deserves way more attention. You see, we often associate autism with childhood,
Right.
but autistic individuals, they grow up. They go through all the same life stages as anyone
Of
else,
course, yeah.
including menopause, and that experience can be, significantly impacted by their neurodiversity.
It's like we forget that people with autism don't stop being autistic.
Right.
It's a lifelong experience.
Yeah.
So when we think about something like menopause, with all its intense physical and emotional changes, it makes you wonder, how does this impact autistic women specifically?
That's exactly the right question to be asking. And one of the key things that jumped out from the research is how sensory sensitivities, so common in autistic individuals, can become, I don't know, even more heightened during menopause.
Wow.
Imagine, for instance, experiencing a hot flash, but instead of just feeling warm, it feels like your entire body is overheating.
Oh, wow.
Or struggling with the already challenging task of communicating your needs while navigating the brain fog and emotional fluctuations of menopause.
Wow, that paints a very vivid picture.
Yeah.
And it makes you realize how crucial it is to really understand the lived experience of autistic women going through this.
Yeah.
It's not just about menopause, it's about how autism intersects with every part of a person's life.
Precisely, yeah. And
Yeah.
it's not just the physical sensations either. The research also highlighted the potential mental health impacts.
Okay.
We know that autistic adults are statistically more likely to experience depression than the general population.
Right.
Now, factor in the hormonal fluctuations of menopause, which can also affect mood and emotional regulation, and you can see how important access to mental health support becomes during this time.
Absolutely. But it sounds like this goes even deeper than that, right?
Oh,
It's not just about like individual symptoms, but also how these experiences might be amplified within the broader social context of a woman's life.
you're spot on, yeah. For many women, menopause can be a time of kind of social and emotional upheaval.
Right.
Now imagine navigating that alongside, the communication and social interaction challenges that some autistic women experience daily.
Yeah.
The research suggests these challenges can actually worsen during menopause, leading to increased feelings of isolation and loneliness.
So it's like this perfect storm of factors colliding kind of at once.
Yeah.
You got the heightened sensory sensitivities,
Mhm.
the potential for increased mental health challenges, and then the social isolation that can
Mhm.
come with both menopause and, for some, navigating the world with autism. This is heavy stuff.
It is, yeah. And that's why we can't underestimate the importance of, awareness. We need to make sure that autistic women going through menopause don't feel alone, that they have access to resources, and that they have a support system that truly understands their experience.
Absolutely. And speaking of understanding, something that really fascinated me in the research was this idea of menopause as a catalyst for self-discovery.
Okay.
It mentioned that some women are actually discovering they're autistic later in life, kind of prompted by their experiences during menopause. Can you tell me more about that?
It's a fascinating phenomenon. The hormonal shifts and emotional introspection that often accompany menopause can actually lead to a sort of, I don't know, retrospective recognition. It's like suddenly certain patterns and experiences from their lives click into place when viewed through the lens of autism.
That's incredible. So we're not just talking about menopause, like potentially making existing autistic traits more pronounced. For some women, it's like menopause is a turning point,
Right.
a moment where they're finally able to understand themselves on a deeper level.
Exactly. And that's why it's so crucial for, healthcare providers to have this on their radar.
Right.
Knowing that menopause can be a time when some women recognize their autistic traits for the first time could make a world of difference in providing proper care and support. It's about listening to women's experiences and being open to the possibility of late diagnosis.
It makes you wonder how many people out there living with like undiagnosed autism, maybe feeling like they've, never quite fit in, and then menopause hits
Right.
and suddenly things start to make sense.
It is definitely a possibility, and it speaks to the importance of understanding autism as a spectrum,
Right.
not just in terms of the wide range of, challenges people might face, but also the spectrum of experiences within autism, different life stages, identities, even individual personalities
Yeah.
can all shape what it means to be autistic.
It's like we need to expand our definition of, like, normal
Hmm.
to include all these variations in human experience. And that brings us to another important concept highlighted in the research intersectionality.
Right, right. Yeah. Intersectionality helps us understand that different aspects of a person's identity, in this case, being autistic, being a woman, going through menopause, don't exist in isolation.
Right.
They intersect and influence each other in, profound ways.
So it's not just about, like, understanding autism and menopause as, like, separate things,
Right.
but about recognizing the unique reality created at that intersection.
Exactly. Yeah. It's about, like you said, it's about seeing the whole person with all their individual experiences and realizing that support needs to be, just as multifaceted.
Which leads us to the big question: how do we take all this incredible insight and actually translate it into, like, better support for autistic women during menopause?
Well, the research, offered some concrete solutions. A big one is education, particularly for healthcare providers.
Right.
They need to be aware of this intersection, the unique challenges it presents, and the potential for late diagnosis.
We can't expect healthcare providers to just, like, magically know all of this.
Yeah.
They need targeted training and resources to adequately support autistic women through every stage of life.
Absolutely. And alongside education, we need to ensure, access to mental health resources,
Oh, right.
especially those tailored to the needs of autistic individuals.
Yeah.
And let's not underestimate the power of, community. Feeling seen, heard, and understood can make a world of difference.
So true, yeah. Encouraging autistic women to connect with one another, whether through support groups, online communities, or even just informal networks, can help combat the isolation that can come with menopause and, for some, being autistic.
Right. Yeah. Sharing experiences, coping strategies, and knowing you're not alone in this can be incredibly empowering. But we also need to remember the importance of individualized care.
Yeah.
Every autistic woman is different, and her experience of menopause will be unique.
Right. Cookie cutter solutions just aren't going to cut it. Healthcare providers need to take a personalized approach, listening carefully to each woman's needs, sensitivities, and preferences.
It's about recognizing that there's no one-size-fits-all approach. It's about empowering women to advocate for themselves and ensuring that healthcare providers are equipped to listen and respond effectively.
So to sum up, we need greater awareness, education for healthcare providers,
Yeah.
access to tailored mental health support, strong community connections, and a commitment to individualized care.
Exactly. Yeah. And if we can, make progress in these areas, we can create a world where autistic women experience menopause with the understanding, support, and dignity they deserve.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive. But before we wrap things up, I remember the research ending on a rather thought-provoking note. It mentioned how some autistic individuals feel like they have to wait for a major life change, like menopause, to truly see themselves clearly.
It is a powerful point. Yeah. It makes you wonder what we could achieve if we lived in a world where people didn't have to wait for a major life transition to feel seen, understood, and accepted for who they are.
It's like we need to, like, shift our thinking from awareness to action.
Hmm.
It's not enough to just know about these issues. We need to, like, actively create a world where autistic people feel seen and supported.
Exactly. And that starts with listening.
Yeah.
Listening to the experiences of autistic people, understanding their unique needs, and advocating for change.
And it's not just about grand gestures either. Sometimes, like, the most powerful actions are, the smallest ones.
Right.
Like educating ourselves about the different ways autism can present, challenging our own biases and assumptions, and simply being more mindful and inclusive in our kind of everyday interactions.
Absolutely. Every conversation, every interaction is an opportunity to create a more understanding and supportive world. It's about recognizing that neurodiversity is a natural part of, human variation, and it's something to be celebrated, not feared.
That's a beautiful thought to end on. So to our listener, if this deep dive has, sparked something in you, if it's left you feeling curious, informed, or even a little bit inspired, take that energy and turn it into action.
Right?
Whether it's, learning more, starting a conversation, or simply committing to being a more understanding and inclusive human being, every step we take brings us closer to a world where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued for who they truly are.
Beautifully said.
And that wraps us up another deep dive. We'll be back next time with another fascinating topic, ready to unpack even more insights and perspectives. Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those brains engaged.